We got ourselves team 2 together with big homie Kang. Just kind of getting covered up by a mace. You can't really see the man's face. We got ourselves Shatrath. I like your name is Shatrath, by the way. Hi, my name is Dal. Hey, my name is Shatrath. We got skills back here as an arms warrior with Tribulate. There's going to be a Shadow Priest up and running as a NECROLORD. We got Unbothered in the back as a sub-rogue. And we got Seaver going to be first up as an Arcane NECROLORD Mage. This is going to be interesting. Triune Word getting nerfed in 915, but you can always go NECROLORD and go for a big old shield. Is playing that Arcane Night Elf Mage. Gonna be opening up with a bit of missiles. Tribulate is gonna walk up and melee with the fear. Gonna be a trinket out of Seaver trying to go for the big touch of the magic. Is gonna land the polymorph as Seaver goes for a big Arcane sphere. Massive damage, potentially big damage onto Tribulate. Gonna be big blasters afterwards with a greater fade as Seaver trying to get himself some damage up and running afterwards. It's gonna be spell stealing every buff from Tri with a stun onto the mage. Holding on to a bunch of shields. Actually, even spell stole a shield from the Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest getting his sped up and running, but dropping down his NECROLORD Night Covenant ability. And that's going to be spawning in Mages of the Dead, doing quite a bit of damage to Seaver. Going to be that Temporal, trying to go for a bit of healing. I wonder if Tribulate trying to go for a Dispel. That's going to be quite a bit of healing. Still, the dots are rolling on Seaver. He's going to need to get himself a shield or something. And I wonder if the Flesh Guard is back up by now. Most likely not, but he's going to be able to steal buffs from Tribulate, stealing those power word shields as much as possible. And is going to survive that, actually. That was quite a bit of damage. Flesh Cut out for Tribulate is getting himself a full fresh shield. Most likely Seaver is going to have one available sometime soon. Could back up out of there. Has a bunch of images rotating back towards him. He's going to go for Fleshcraft as one of the images sits in the back. Frostbolt casted a Tribulate. Is going to hit him with some slow. Tribulate is not going to be able to stop the Fleshcraft whatsoever. Stun onto Seavark. I believe he's playing Shimmer with a Goblin Racial leaping next to Seavark and whispering sweet nothings as Seavark gets embarrassed by them and fears in the other direction. Silence. There's going to be more pets available. Seavark try to avoid these pets as best as possible. Going to be a quick invis with his shield. Got himself the Temporal in case he can get any kind of healing. Is going to sit down and get food immediately using that invis. And we'll see how it goes. It's going to be massive Arcana Sphere. Knocking back Tribulate with a bit of instant cast. It's going to get himself a greater fade. Goblin Rachel to try to see if he can reposition. Quick stun on Seavark as Seavark is chasing. It's not going to be the longest stun ever. Seavark could blink around and try to go for an interrupt. Trying to save that blink for later. As Tribulate is going to blast it out. Sounds out to Seavark very quickly. It's going to be a Fleshcraft. Could interrupt it. Is going to land that interrupt. Trying to reduce the amount of defensives that Tribulate is going to have. As Seavark gets a Fleshcraft, as there's no silence by the Shadow Priest anyway. And Seavark should be able to punish Tribulate as long as he can get on top of him and get line aside. The Shadow Priest is continuing to heal himself and try to keep himself as topped off as possible. Quick invis by Seavark. Try to see if he can juke around Tribulate. Maybe land a poly. He's trying to see if he can land it. Does get one around the corner with a Deathborn. Arcana Sphere could potentially be big damage here. Does he get big damage out of this one? Trying to go for a massive barrage with a Disperse out of Tribulate immediately. And Seavark is on the chase, trying to keep the missiles built up as best as he can. Most likely playing the Barrage Legendary. Going to be Tribulate landing a Syphi, and Seavark wipes it out really quickly. With more missile spam, and Seavark is gonna shrink it just so he can keep the pressure. Interrupted a Tribulate, might be able to get enough damage. Trying to go for the most barrages. Tribulate with barely any health and does get combusted down with a quick fire blast. Just Seavark pointing his fingers at him and snaps. And down goes the priest. Very well done for the first duel. Seavark throwing down damage into Shatrath. I don't know what the hell the Rogue is doing. It looked like the Rogue was going to be the one opening, but Shatrath is going to be the one dueling, not playing the PvP talent where he has an undispellable Hand of Freedom. Seavark does get himself a free Flesh Cut. Quick blind by Shatrath is going to be a poly, throwing down a Judgment on the Kevin Slime. Going to be that Arcana Sphere for Seavark, looking to get a knockback with a touch of magic onto Shatrath. Big damage, potentially try to go for as much healing early as possible. And Seavark is going to backpedal out of there, trying to get some Arcane Blast, but looking to get resistance. Is able to always steal the buff from Shatrath every single time. That Hand of Freedom is just going to be giving Seavark free movement with missiles to follow. Just has a max range. Maybe Shatrath could go for a Hand of Hindrance onto Seavark with a range Hammer of Justice. He might be able to make something happen. But he just doesn't have any ways to keep himself immune to slows. He can maybe break roots or break a slow for a second, but it's basically a gimme buff towards Seavark. Shatrath trying to maybe make something turn around here. Is going to be a Polymorph for Seavark, just builds up resources. It's very gonna fine. Whittling away at Shattrath is gonna repollen with another Arcane Sphere. Is that gonna be big damage? Arcane Barrage is available very, very soon. I mean, Arcane Power, maybe with a Barrage, gonna be that ulti time for Seavark. As Shattrath taking a bit of damage, though, more barrages, more blasts. But the Paladin is continuing to press on as best as possible. Seavark blinking around him, not letting this Paladin touch him. Most likely gonna see a bubble sometime soon. As Shattrath's kind of low, using Sipping Up right now. Battle Master's Trinket borrowing some health, putting that thing on credit with a Shield of Vengeance rolling up next. As flashlights are coming out around the corner, Seavark is going to let it happen, just snagging that Hand of Freedom. And Shattrath is back to being played around with, man. The slows, the freedoms, it just will not do anything for him. He can maybe go for a little bit of healing on the side, but that's about it. Seavark actually burned through quite a lot of mana. Quick evocation into a poly onto Shattrath. Maybe he has the most damage. Deathborn, everything. Full burst is available. Shattrath could be in big trouble, actually. Gonna be a big instant cast for Seavark. Actually just blasted through Shattrath. It's gonna get him some Shield of Vengeance right now. Missiles flying from far. Maybe he can build up for big damage. Gonna be a Hammer of Justice by Shattrath. Finally getting some damage to Seavark. Gonna be that Temporal Seavark with the barrages and roots. Maybe he can go for a Hand of Freedom. Break the root for a second. Seavark with a Flesh Cleft. No way too interrupted. While a massive Arcane Sphere is getting charged up. Shattrath better be prepared for it. Seavark making sure to aim the Arcane Sphere so it does get a big old boop. Maybe a Shimmer into an interrupt. Does land that interrupt so far. I feel like while Seavark cannot really one-shot Shattrath, he can't really guarantee burst. He can definitely whittle him down. He can outrange him. He can just outlast them and outlive them. And that's exactly what Seavark is going to do. Another touch of the Magi setup. Maybe he can make some work off of this one. As Shattrath trying to create himself some line of sight, but Seavark isn't letting him. He has to build Holy Power just to work with this. Trying to go for a heal. Maybe interrupted. No, actually, interrupt was not available for Seavark. Now it is, though. He has to get himself some kind of heal, but looks like he just got whittled down, chiseled away over time. Like a crashing wave upon a mountain, eventually over years, that mountain will erode, and that's basically the Arcane Mage gameplay here. Skills is going to be up next, doing a bit of an honor walk towards Seavark, maybe an honorable bow for the both of them. Going to be that actual synchronized bow for both. As Skills does have a lot more mobility to work with here. I mean, the leap, maybe double charge. I don't know what he's going to be rolling with. And Seavark is just going to send a couple missiles at him. So maybe the Warrior will have a little bit easier time than a Paladin, since Paladins are not really considered the most mobile class in the game. Free missiles for Seavark around the corner. Skills is trying to see if he can swing around. Poly almost lands on him. Actually creates the smallest line of sight. Trinket for Seavark. Gets himself out of the Spear of Bastion. No more Trinket for Seavark, but that's going to be Trinket for Skills. It's going to give himself a reflect. Seavark is going to reflect one of the builders back to himself. Trying to max out the damage into Skills. Maybe can do a lot. Touching the magic, doing quite a bit, but that's going to be that dive by the sword to provide a little bit of damage reduction. Even though Dive by the Sword has a parry, which magic effects don't do anything against parry, like they don't get parried. The DR from the Dive by the Sword is still quite helpful for Skills, especially when it's on such a short cooldown if you're running the right conduit. More missiles flying. Skills might be in a bit of a trouble here. Kind of low. He does activate an AoE stun. I say drops low, so Seavark can just blast into him, and even if Skills is nearby, he doesn't have to worry about it. Big barrage, Skills super low in health, might have to go for rally, needs to get himself defenses, but I think it's just over. And Seavark does take him out with a Fire Blast again, snap of the fingers, and the Warrior goes down with Unbothered, kind of starting a little early. This guy definitely did not start at the start of the room. That's a little bit awkward. Getting that interrupt on the Flesh Cleft for Seavark, denying him any kind of shield, but also starting a little bit early, so normally Seavark would be able to get a Flesh Cleft at least some point or another. But Unbothered is going to be retreating. Subrogue with a blinder to Seavark. No more Trinket by the Mage, still holding on to an Ice Block. The question now is, can he whittle away a Subtlety Rogue with the immunities, the CC, and the just escapes? Can he do it? Because it's going to be, I think, a bit of a fight between the two classes that are all about resets, that are all about whittling each other down. It is a carrying Subrogue, so you should have quite a bit of damage to him all the time for Seavark. I think he's going to cancel it. Yep, he is definitely going to cancel. Trinket out of Unbothered with a Cloak of Shadows. As he sees cooldowns coming out of Seavark, that wasn't the biggest cooldowns out of Seavark. He's going to stay in Invis for a moment. Actually, Shadow Melded, so he's just going to wait it out. Unbothered didn't know where he was and wants to make sure to tag the Rogue before he catches a reset. Going to be some bursts out of the Rogue, potentially nice block out of Seavark. He does have Trinkets coming back up, shields are back up, Temporal is there. Maybe he could do something. Going to be the Images back up for him, trying to get whatever heal he can. Maybe Warlock House out of Impulsion, who is on his team. Landing a Nova into Unbothered, who does burn a Vanish Shield, so now the Rogue has nothing. Even Evasion got used here. And Seawork is going to catch himself a bit of a reset with a bit of food while in a Viz, while in the bony skeletal form. And Unbothered was at least able to deny any kind of big burst out of that form. Seawork can survive the next go by Unbothered, hit him with the root, maybe go for the big blaster burster. He might be able to do it. Everything is done for the rogue. That's going to be Seawork not sitting that CC long at all. Massive Arcana Sphere has the burst available. Does he go for the big go? He is going to go for the biggest go. Oh my god, send that rogue to the Shadow Realm, dude. He sent him in the afterlife of the afterlife, dude. Shadowland 2. He sent him to the Shadowlands 2. Oh my goodness. Next up is going to be big homie Kang trying to get some damage onto Seawork. Going to be BDB up first, and Seawork immediately trick inside of it, avoiding the Ring of Peace, and that's going to be homie. Unable to really connect with Seawork. Going to be that ulti time for Seawork if he needs to use it. Looks like he cancels it, goes with a Fleshcraft instead. I don't know if homie has a Fleshcraft available, but he is going to definitely set himself up defensively. NECROLORD Mage. How often do you see this combination? Maybe more often now after this video, maybe potentially. Big ol' Arcane Sphere getting thrown onto homie as he gets hit with a barrage, taking a bit of damage though. Touching the magic, everything did quite a bit. Seawork could blink in aggressively and try to land an interrupt, but interrupting a monk just feels weird unless it's a healing monk. Like interrupting a Windwalker monk just feels like, it feels like they still will have abilities to use. Like, you don't really interrupt a lot of the nature spells. Gonna be big damage. Homie going down with the big BDB. That's gonna be Seawork. You choosing to go with an Ice Block. It's better to use Ice Block than not using Wait. Aren't you supposed to freeze while an Ice Block? You're moving. I think they might have broken some of those freeze animations. Interesting. Ulti time up for Seawork. Can take a lot of damage. Can definitely take a beating as he has ulti time to come back to where he needs to. That's going to be more shimmers around homie. Trying to see if he might be able to land a poly. Is going to be a trinket out of homie. And Seawork is getting kind of low. Might be enter him. Oh! He does get a knockback at the very end as a Whirling Dragon Punch came out. Sean is going to be up next. Looking to end this duel right there. Not trinketing out of the incap. Like, it looks like the wind might have broken that one. Just need to get a stun or something into homie. Is going to catch him with an incap. BDB, leg sweep. I think he's just going to take him out in a single go. Serenity. Interesting choice. Serenity Birds. That's something we don't really see that often, but maybe that'll be the new meta. And Sean is going to be able to touch and death him down. I definitely got to give credit to Seawork there. That was some amazing Arcane Mage burst. Something we needed to see, especially towards the end, dude. That payoff. He had to go whittling away Paladin for a bit. Totally understandable. Paladins have a lot of survivability, but then landing those kills on the rogue and on the even the warrior, like the burst, just being able to see, that was so good. I enjoyed that.